The first time I held that hospital bill in my hands, I swear the numbers looked like they were glowing, burning straight into my eyes. $49,000, just to give my little girl a chance to live. And that wasn't even the full price. That was just the opening punch. Without insurance, they wanted half up front or no surgery. Half up front meant $20-something thousand. I might as well have been staring at 20 million. I worked mornings at a diner, nights scrubbing offices until my back felt like it was splitting. Most weeks I barely covered rent, food, and the electric bill. My kids slept in a room where the ceiling fan clicked so loud you couldn't dream straight. And here I was, trying to figure out how many lifetimes it would take me to save the price of my daughter's heart. 6 weeks, the doctor said, or it becomes life-threatening. Life-threatening. The words just stayed in my head like a gun cocked against the wall. That night, I dragged myself to the hotel. Not the kind of place I'd ever stay, not even for one night, but the kind of place where people with money didn't even notice a woman in a cleaning uniform. I'd been assigned to the top floor marble hallways, chandeliers, doors heavier than anything I'd ever owned. I kept my head down, mop in hand, until I heard something that stopped me cold. Crying. Not just crying, sobbing like somebody's chest was splitting open. The sound was coming from one of the penthouses. Rule number 1, never bother the guests. Pretend you don't see, don't hear, don't feel. But there was something in that sound, like someone drowning and nobody else noticing. Before I knew it, I was knocking. The door cracked open and I saw him. Tall, mid-40s maybe, face handsome, but wrecked like he hadn't slept in years. His shirt was wrinkled, his eyes hollow. "Go away," he muttered. "Sorry, sir," I said, my voice small but steady. I thought maybe you were hurt. Or maybe you needed someone to call." He stared long and hard like he was debating whether to slam the door or let me inside. Finally, he opened it wide. The suite behind him looked like a magazine spread, but his hand was gripping a photo so tightly it was bent at the corners. A blonde woman smiling back at me from the frame. "My wife," he said. 3 years gone today. Drunk driver." His voice cracked, then dropped low. I chose a meeting over dinner with her that night. I've been choosing money over love my whole life. And now I've got more money than I could ever spend, and it means nothing. I should have kept my mouth shut. I was just a cleaner, not a therapist. But I saw myself in his eyes. That hollow look I'd worn at myself the day my ex walked out, leaving me with 2 babies and a pile of debt. I sat down and whispered, "If she loved you, she wouldn't want you to drown in guilt forever. She'd want you to find a way to live again." Before he could answer, my phone buzzed. It was my neighbor. My daughter had another episode. My chest squeezed so tight I thought I'd collapse. "I have to go," I said, shoving my mop bucket aside. "What's wrong?" he asked. His tone softened, real concern there. And I don't know why I did it. Maybe because he'd just bared his pain to me, but I told him. About the surgery. About the bill that might as well have been a death sentence. He didn't blink, just asked, "How much?" When I said the number, he walked across the room, opened a drawer, and pulled out a checkbook like it was nothing. Seconds later, he was holding out $50,000. Just like that. I froze. My throat closed up. Every part of me screamed to grab it and run straight to the hospital, but another voice whispered, "If you take this and disappear, what does that make you?" "I can't," I stammered. "Why not?" he asked, confused. Because this feels like a transaction. And I can't sell my dignity, not even for my daughter." He frowned, about to argue, but then something snapped inside me. I realized maybe I did have something to offer him. Not my body, not a one-night favor, something real. "You offered me money for one night," I said carefully. "But what I see is a man who's been alone too long. A man who forgot how it feels to have someone care whether he eats or sleeps or makes it through the night. What if I offered you more than a night? What if I offered you a family again? Silence. His jaw tightened, his eyes sharp, like I'd just spoken another language. Then, almost to himself, he whispered, "You want to date me. Not date for show, not business. Something real. I bring my kids. You bring your broken heart, and maybe we fix each other." He laughed short and bitter. "You realize who I am? The press, the attention, you'd be ripped apart." Maybe I said, "But everything worthwhile is complicated." He stared at me for a long time, then slowly nodded. "All right. But if this is real, it has to be real from the beginning." The next days felt like stepping into a dream I wasn't sure I belonged in. He invited me to lunch, not at some five-star place. He suggested a picnic in the park sandwiches by the lake. He said it was the first good sleep he'd had in years, and for the first time in forever, I laughed without forcing it. Then came the moment he met my kids. My little girl, shy but brave, looked him in the eye and asked, "Will, you come to my surgery?" He didn't even pause. I wouldn't miss it. My son, blunt as only a 5-year-old can be, asked, "Are you really rich?" Jonathan, yes. By now, I called him Jonathan. Just smiled and said, "Yes. But money can't buy the best things, like people who love you." The surgery came. Hours of pacing me, nearly shaking apart. Jonathan sat in that waiting room with my boy on his lap, telling him, "Your sister's strong. She'll be fine." And she was. The surgery worked. My baby had a chance at a normal life. Afterward, Jonathan filled our tiny apartment with groceries and flowers. He read Kira stories, helped Tear build towers, and for the first time in years, the walls of our home shook with real laughter. But the world outside wasn't so kind. At a gala, I overheard women whispering, "She's clever, isn't she?" A single mom, 2 kids, a cleaning job. Now living the dream. Gold digger deluxe. Their words stung more than I thought possible. I ran to the restroom, tried to swallow it down. Jonathan found me, asked what was wrong. I told him. His face hardened. "Let them talk," he said. "I don't need someone who matches my bank account. I need someone who matches my heart." I believed him, but not everyone did. His business partner pulled me aside one day, voice polite but sharp as glass. "You're good for him now, but long term, he needs someone who belongs in his world. Someone like his late wife." He leaned in closer. "If you love him, maybe step aside." His words sliced open every insecurity I had. For days I couldn't look Jonathan in the eye, but when I confessed, he held my face and said, "Do I look unhappy? Do I look like I'm giving anything up? I'm gaining everything. A family. A reason to breathe again. Don't let anyone steal that from us." I thought the worst was behind us. I was wrong. Months later, a letter came. My ex-husband, the man who walked away without a dime of child support, without a phone call, was filing for custody. Suddenly, the life we'd built was under siege. I hid it for days, terrified. When Jonathan found me crying, I finally showed him the papers. He read them, his jaw tightening. Then he looked at me and said, "No. He doesn't get to come back after abandoning them. We fight this, together." And fight we did. Courtrooms, lawyers, endless testimony. My kids were questioned. They told the guardian Jonathan reads to me every night. He helps me with homework. He's our dad. When the judge ruled, it was clear my ex had no leg to stand on. His rights were terminated. Jonathan would adopt my children. That day, standing outside the courthouse with adoption papers in Jonathan's hand, I felt like we'd finally beaten back every storm. He bent down, looked at the kids, and asked, "Can I be your dad forever?" They screamed yes. Months later, on a beach in Maui, he knelt in the sand, the sunset burning gold behind him, and asked me to be his wife. My kids jumped and cheered before I even said yes. But I said it anyway. 1,000 times yes. We married in the backyard, simple and full of laughter. My daughter wore sunflowers in her hair. My son carried the rings like they were treasure. Jonathan vowed to love us all in good times and bad. And for once, I believed in forever. But here's the part that keeps me up sometimes. People still whisper. Some still call me lucky. Others call me a scam. They say a billionaire saved a single mom. But that's not how I see it. I see a broken man and a broken woman who chose to carry the weight together. So now I ask you, what would you have done if a stranger handed you the chance to save your child? Would you take the money and run, or would you dare to ask for something more? Do you think love like this is real or just a fairy tale? People like us don't get to have drop your thoughts below. Because in my world, the truth is messier than any storybook. And maybe that's why it matters even more.